This is your weekly briefing from Appraiser eLearning. I'm Hal Humphreys, your host. We're coming to you live from the Appraiser eLearning World Headquarters right here in Nashville, Tennessee. This is Studio B. I am absolutely tickled to be here. We've got some fun things coming up this week. So in the briefing this week, change, books, a brief interview with a really cool guy, and the summit. I'm going to take these in kind of out of order. I fly to Las Vegas on Friday. The summit starts on Monday, but on Saturday and Sunday, we have training events. I'll be teaching on Saturday. I'll also be teaching for the trainee events on Sunday. If you are a trainee and you want to set yourself apart, there is still time to sign up for the Appraisal Summit. Come join us. We've got a trainee-only event on Sunday that you're welcome to attend. It would be fun for you to come join us. I also think it would help you set yourself apart as a trainee who really, really wants to make a difference in this business. We need new people in this business. So we're going to talk about change today. There are a lot of changes being suggested in the appraisal world. We've got bifurcated reports. We've got hybrid reports. We've got desktop-only reports. We've got people using their cell phone to go out and measure homes using Cubicasa, Remote Val, these programs that do things in a new and exciting way. It's not like going out with a tape measure and measuring the house, or a disto and measuring the house, or any other kind of laser measure. There are some new things that we as appraisers are going to have to get our heads around. Change is hard. I understand that. I totally get it. As a real estate appraiser of 30 plus years, I like things to stay the same. I like for things to be the way I've always done them. It's easier for me to make money when I've got a process that I'm totally used to, and I can get things in that process and work it through. But change happens. If you don't believe that, look in the mirror. There are some ways to think about change that I think can be helpful. I stumbled across a book the other day that is actually written by a friend of mine. His name is Jason Feifer, and he is the editor-in-chief at Entrepreneur Magazine. Now, most of the appraisers I know think of themselves as entrepreneurs. I can say without hesitation, this is one of the better business books I've gotten my hands on in years. It's fantastic, and it deals specifically with how to understand change, how to address change, and how to think about moving forward. Jason uses several anecdotes in this book that will help you get your head around how things change. I had the chance to spend a little time with Jason Feifer this morning and interview him about this book and about how to deal with change and how disruptive technology can feel dangerous and threatening at first. But if you get your head around it, it can present opportunities. Again, if you get a chance, go to Amazon.com and pick up a copy of Build for Tomorrow by Jason Feifer, editor-in-chief at Entrepreneur Magazine. And now I'd like to share with you my brief interview with Jason Feifer. There are some changes afoot in the real estate appraisal world. There's some complaints about the way things are done. They're trying to redo things. And I think the anecdote you tell about the music business is appropriate for real estate appraisers. Yes, things will change, but there are new opportunities that happen when that happens.
Yeah. So I'll tell you that one quickly. So this anecdote that I'll tell you, which comes from the history of recorded music, is a lesson I have found in a problem we all have when we experience change, which is that we experience change as loss, and then we extrapolate the loss. So we see a new change coming. We say, this means that I no longer have access to this old thing that I'm comfortable with and familiar with. So that feels like loss to me. And because I want to know what's happening next, I'm going to extrapolate upon what I know, which is to say, well, I've lost this, which means that I will lose this, which means that I will lose this. what does that look like, practically speaking? Well, here's a story. So at the dawn of recorded music, late 1800s, the phonograph is a brand new invention. It's the first record player. And this is the first time in human history, consider how just miraculous this was, first time in human history that people could listen to music without a human being playing an instrument in front of them. Pretty marvelous. And people didn't even believe it at the time. They had to be shown that there wasn't a band behind a wall somewhere playing. And then when they finally accepted it, they brought it into their homes. They were fascinated by it. They were excited by it. Musicians, on the other hand, were not excited about it. Musicians saw themselves being replaced. And the leader of the resistance at the time was this guy named John Philip Sousa, whose name you may not know, but whose music you certainly do. He wrote all the military marches we're still familiar with today. Da, 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 da. Right, that's John Philip Sousa. So John Philip Sousa wrote this piece. You should Google it. It's wonderful. It's called The Menace of Mechanical Music. He wrote it in Appleton's Magazine in 1906. And he made all these arguments against recorded music about why it was going to be so damaging and terrible. And my favorite of his arguments went like this. He said that if you bring recorded music into the home, it will replace all forms of live music. Because, of course, why would somebody perform live when there's a machine that can do it for them? And then because there's no live music in the home anymore, mothers will not sing to their children. Because again, why would they do that when there's now a machine that can do it? And because children imitate their mothers, the children will grow up to imitate the machines, and thus we will raise a generation of machine babies. This is a very real argument that he made, that it was even illustrated. And you see what he was doing there. He was extrapolating the loss. If we're going to lose this, then naturally we'll lose this next thing, and then naturally we'll lose this next thing. But the problem is, of course, that for him, it was a ton of wasted energy, because that is clearly not what happened. And the thing is, yes, change does bring about some loss of the familiar, but it also brings about gain. And so our jobs really should be not to resist, not to hold on to something that may become outdated, but rather to say, okay, this is happening. Whether I like it or not, this is happening. And so my opportunity now is actually to identify the gain, to try to filter what is happening through the lens of how can this be put to good use, and then start to utilize that, start to move towards it, start to experiment with it. Because I will tell you what will happen as a result. You will gain a competitive advantage because you will see the new opportunities before others do, which is the reason why after a period of time where John Philip Sousa was writing crazy things, that guy realized that actually there was a lot of money to be made in recorded music. He can now reach people without having to travel to them. It was scalable. And so he started recording his music, and he started going on the radio, which he had also originally opposed doing. And, just imagine how much more money he could have made had he not wasted all that time being resistant to it and just gotten there.
That's it. That's absolutely it. Jason, thank you so much for taking the time to be here today. I appreciate it. One more plug for the book. If you want to get a copy of Jason's book, it's on Amazon. I bought several copies on Amazon. Build for Tomorrow by Jason Feifer, editor-in-chief of Entrepreneur Magazine. Jason, thank you again so much for being here.
Hal, it is always great to talk to you. We need to catch up in a way that isn't recorded for some sort of consumption. But I'm really looking forward to it. And thank you, everybody. Please pick up the book. Hal, you're a delight.
Best of luck to you. Change is hard. And as Jason said, a lot of times change comes to us as we've lost something. And then we extrapolate that feeling of loss to what is coming down the pike. Pick up a copy of Build for Tomorrow by Jason Feifer. Go to Amazon.com, get yourself a copy. I think you'll be glad you did. And again, if you are at the Appraisal Summit coming up this week, I'm going to be there. The entire team from Appraiser eLearning is going to be there. I've got a couple extra copies of this book. I'll be more than happy to give them away while I'm there. So come up, introduce yourself, tell us who you are, where you are, what kind of work you do. We would love to meet you. And now a quick word from our sponsors.